You know, one of the funniest things Bungie could have done with a weapon that literally looks like every other weapon is call it something new. The audacity. Now, this is not actually a new hand cannon, but it has come back to us this year with a host of different traits. And for the most part, this Stasis 120 round per minute hand cannon is very much flying under the radar. Now, I know 120s aren't exactly meta, especially in PvE, but this does have some very strong perk combinations. So if you're doing Bonfire Bash, or if you want to check out our guide on how to optimize Solstice, get those double traits on weapons, and lock down those God rolls, feel free to check out our link down below. Today, though, we're going to be comparing something new to a number of other 120 round per minute hand cannons, which takes us to the stats. You'll be pleased to know that something new is literally the worst in almost every category stat-wise. The only place that it's slightly better is that it has one more stability than Malediction and one more reload speed than Criminal's Dagger. But without a doubt, across the board, all other popular 120s beat it, with the exception of Round Robin, which for some unknown reason, Bungie gave terrible base stats to. Granted, it's craftable, but you get the gist. Now, while something new isn't exactly a stat monster, what's going to set it apart, though, is of course its perks, which takes us to our third column. We have Rapid Hit, Feeding Frenzy, Subsistence, To the Pain, Elemental Capacitor, Demolitionist, and Snapshot Sights. In our fourth column, we have Explosive Payload, Headstone, Frenzy, Kill Clip, Precision Instrument, Wellspring, and Vorpal Weapon. Now, looking at PvE first, we have some very solid perks like Rapid Hit, which reads, Rapid Precision Hits temporarily increases stability and reload speed. Now, each precision hit grants us 1 stack, which lasts for about 2 seconds and reaches a max of 5 stacks. Now, max stacks, this grants us 25 stability, 60 reload speed, and a 0.92 times reload duration multiplier. The enhanced version of Rapid Hit does state that it provides a stronger effect, but we don't have the exact increase. But without a doubt, guys, Rapid Hit has always been a solid pick, both in PvE and in PvP. Considering how already low the stability stat is here, as well as the reload speed, this is something that does mitigate those low stats. Next up, though, we have Subsistence. Defeating targets partially reloads the magazine from reserves. Upon landing a kill, this will refill 10% of the mag from reserves. Now, base, this magazine is pretty awful, guys. We're talking 8, which is why having a mag perk like Tac Mag or even a Pendant Mag is greatly appreciated here. But just starting with the base magazine of 8, getting a kill gives you back 1 shot to your magazine. But this is why mag size is so important. If you have a Pendant Mag plus backup mag, this gives us 13 rounds, meaning when you get a kill this time, based on the percentage here, you actually get 2 shots back per kill. Now, the enhanced version increases this to 20% per kill. So again, at base, this refills 2 shots, but with the Pendant Mag and backup mag and enhance, this refills 3 shots per kill. And this is a very nice perk for something new. 120s hit hard, but a complaint that many people have inside of PvE when using a 120 is that reload. Having to slog through a reload is terrible with the 120, but Subsistence bypasses that. But again, you need that perfect combo, that a Pendant Mag, that backup mag, that enhanced version of Subsistence. These things really help. Now, maybe Tac Mag could do it as well. I'm purely basing this off of my own appended roll. And the next perk we need to mention is Demolitionist. Such a great perk here, guys. Kills with a weapon, generates grenade energy. Activating your grenade ability reloads this weapon from reserves. Now, this generates 10% grenade energy per kill, with the enhanced version bumping this up to 11%. Now, Demolitionist is a very nice perk, especially in the sandbox that we're in now, where almost everything relies on spamming abilities, with Demo maintaining that gameplay loop. Now, we got Feeding Frenzy as well, which is not a bad one. But before we really decide what's the best perk in that third column, discussing our origin traits on something new is very important, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's move on to our fourth column. One of the standout perks in PvE is Explosive Payload. Projectiles create an area of effect detonation on impact. Now, this essentially takes 50% of the weapon's body shot damage and splits it into explosive damage that deals around 30% increased damage. Now, what this actually equates to for us, guys, is that inside of PvE, you're doing 15% more damage. You can literally see it right here, guys. At base, we hit for 7,762 on this red bar. But with Explosive Payload, this jumps up to 8,927. This is a flat 15% buff for free. Now, the enhanced version of Explosive simply grants us +5 reload speed. A fantastic perk without a doubt. Next, though, we have Headstone. Precision Final Blows spawn a stasis crystal at the victim's location. A great perk, guys. Enhanced Headstone essentially just gives you +5 stability, but if you're building into stasis, or even if you're using precision charismatic and you want a quick way to fill up your darkness transcendence meter, Headstone's a great pick. We've got things like Whisper of Fissures, a Facet of Ruin, both of which increases the damage and size of the stasis crystal explosions. Headstone is the perfect pairing for those. And I want to quickly touch on that synergy between Headstone and Demolitionist. You see, we tested this a lot, and it seems that kills with the crystal spawn with Headstone will count towards Demolitionist, and therefore grant that grenade energy. However, if you are using either Whisper of Fissures or Facet of Ruin, due to the nature of both causing an additional damage instance, things can get a bit finicky. You see, guys, additional instances of damage can override and secure the kill, therefore not giving you the multiple procs of Demolitionist. You heard that right, guys. This means it will not proc Demo, as it will not count as a weapon. Now, if you remove these, you can see it working as expected. Interesting, though, that this is the case. Probably something Bungie didn't even know. Doesn't seem like something they would intentionally design this way. So keep that in mind, guys. If you're going to run these fragments in combination with Demo and Headstone, and you're like, dude, this thing just doesn't seem to be contributing the amount of grenade energy to me like it should be, that's why. Now, the last perk I want to mention in that fourth column is, of course, Frenzy. Being in combat for an extended time increases damage, handling, and reload for the weapon until you are out of combat. This activates after 12 seconds. It gives you 50% more damage, also 100 handling and 100 reload speed. And it lasts for 7.2 seconds. It's a strong perk, guys, with all the stat bumps being something we can appreciate. But this takes us to the origin traits, which are very strong here. First up, we have Dream Work. This is not a new origin trait. It was on the weapons last year, but I think a lot of people overlooked just how deadly this origin trait is. It states that once per reload, assist or assisted final blows partially refills the weapon from reserves and increases reload speed for a short duration. Bows receive faster draw time. Now, we talked about this in our bow review, even went over the draw time speeds and how they change. But basically, guys, anytime a teammate gets a kill on an enemy that you previously hit with something new, this will refill your magazine up to 66% from reserves, as well as increasing reload speed. Now, with a base mag of 8, this reloads 5 bullets, which is really nice if you happen to be sitting at that base mag size. Now, if we increase our mag size further, say back a mag, you will now reload 7 bullets. This is a good origin trait, guys, because this keeps you in the gunfight longer and longer. The only downside is that this doesn't really offer any benefits when you're solo. Now, our next origin trait is the origin trait my PvP players are going to want to use, that being Nadir Focus. Sustained fire increases accuracy and range. Also increases lunge distance for swords and projectile velocity for launchers. Now, this stacks for simply firing the weapon and stacks up to a maximum of 5. You see, guys, at 5 stacks, this grants you plus 10 range, as well as 7.5% decrease to accuracy cone size. This is a very solid perk inside of PvP. And if you're rocking this weapon in PvP, I highly advise utilizing Nadir Focus, which is exactly why weapons like Unending Tempest is so popular. Nadir Focus is very good. It's a solid origin trait, but I would say both of these origin traits are S tier. But what Nadir Focus adds here inside of PvP is roughly an extra meter to your range, at least at max stacks, plus the bump there to your accuracy. Now, the reason why we're really focusing on weapons that are stasis this season, as well as just some of our hand cannons in general, is because we have some good artifact perks. For instance, Overload Hand Cannon. This will, of course, overcharge this weapon in any activity that has an overcharged modifier. We also have Creeping Chill, though, where stasis weapon final blows against slowed or frozen targets releases a burst that slows. Now, you can see it at work here. Essentially, so long as you are killing an enemy affected by a stasis debuff, this will then release that slowing burst, and if it looks familiar, it's because it's very similar to that of Agriceptor. This is a good perk, guys, and I highly advise taking advantage of it when you're using stasis weapons. And with all that out of the way, what is my God roll for PvE? Don't worry, PvP guys, trust me, we have a lot to discuss for y'all as well. But for my PvE folks, now without a doubt, 120s are not a top pick for PvE. The perks here do make something new kind of an exception. A solid one right off the rip is Rapid Hit paired with anything in that fourth column, that being either Explosive Payload or Frenzy. Hell, you could even do Rapid Hit in Headstone. I also think that Demolitionist and Headstone is a fantastic combo, despite some of the conflictions it has with Faster Ruin and Whisper of Fissures. Being able to generate grenade energy with that Headstone Shatter, it's beautiful synergy. Now, Subsistence is also a solid choice with either Explosive or Frenzy. It requires less reloading, but keep in mind, you want to get the enhanced version of Subsistence, and you want to pick up that mag size. And keep in mind, you can also do Subsistence and Headstone as well. Now, as far as barrel perks goes, I think anything like Fluted Barrel, Corkscrew, or even Small Bore are really good. Just anything to bump up those stats just a bit. A Pendant Mag, Tac Mag, or even Flared Magwell in that magazine column are going to be your best PvE bets. Again, I know we're not in a 120 round per minute meta amongst hand cannons inside of PvE. If Bungie makes an adjustment at any point in the future, something new will be ready to take full advantage. Now this takes us to PvP. Guys, I have actually spent a bit of time with this inside of PvP, and I've gone back and forth. There's been moments where I'm absolutely in love with something new, questioning why anyone wouldn't be giving this a go if they love 120s, even with dominant 120s like Igneous Hammer. But I landed this role right here: Elemental Capacitor and Precision Instruments. Now let me talk about Elemental Capacitor. This has always been a pretty decent perk, but now on Prismatic, it really opens things up as you get these stat benefits based on the super you selected, as stated right here by the perk description. Now what I love about Prismatic is that you're always mixing and matching things, and the fact that you can make this work with your super and not just your subclass is huge. And this grants some pretty massive bonuses. Solar gives you plus 50 reload speed, Arc gives you plus 50 handling, Void gives you plus 20 stability, Strand gives you plus 20 AE, and Stasis gives you plus 20 recoil direction, as well as 20% reduced ADS movement speed penalty. And the two I really focused on was Arc and Void. Dude, we talk about Igneous Hammer being a stat monster. Look at this plus 50 handling. You can even go with that plus 20 stability when rocking a Void class, which is something that I know you may not think you need, but on a 120, the stability bump was really nice. Keep in mind, we talk highly of Rapid Hit, but Rapid Hit at 5 stacks gives you 25 stability, whereas Elemental Capacitor here gives you plus 20 stability for free. Literally for free. No stacks necessary. What's even more is that you can enhance this, which adds another plus 5 to all the listed stats. This is really solid, guys. And that with this particular combination was very good. And we'll talk more about Precision Instrument in just a moment, as that's a standout perk for 120s. Now another perk that's also present here for PvP players is To the Pain. This is one of my favorite new perks in the game, and it reads that while this weapon is equipped, taking damage increases handling and aim assist until the weapon is stowed. Taking more damage increases the effect. Now taking damage grants stacks, which increases both handling and aim assist. This maxes out at 10 stacks, granting us 20 aim assists. As for the handling, we don't really have the numbers on this yet, but it is something you will notice. With the enhanced version To the Pain, bumping up the stat bonuses even more. This is a perk I've utilized on a number of different weapons, guys, and it's one you can appreciate on something new. Now what about column 4? Really, it comes down to two different perks. One of them being Kill Clip, the other being Precision Instruments. Now let's start with Kill Clip. This is a 25% damage buff after reloading after getting a kill. Now this buff lasts for 5 seconds, with the enhanced version increasing that timer to 5.5 seconds. This is a very good perk in 6v6, as even if you just tag a Guardian, get the kill, boom, you're off to the races. Now if we look at the base time to kill here for something new, it requires 3 crits on Guardians, tier 10 resilience to tier 7, and you can secure that kill in 1 second. Now from tier 6 resilience and below, it takes 2 crits in 1 body. Now when Kill Clip is active, our damage is increased from 89 to 111 damage per crits, and we can now land a kill on tier 10 resilience Guardians in 2 crits, 1 body. But from tier 9 to tier 6, you could get the kill in 1 crit, 2 bodies. Pretty much just adding some extra forgiveness. It is from tier 5 resilience and below though that you can secure the kill in those 2 crits. And this is where the time to kill shifts, guys. It drops to 0.5 seconds. It's very, very nice. Now I feel like for the most part, people know the sweet spot of resilience inside of PvP. Folks are running around with higher resilience these days, but inside of 6v6, I really do like Kill Clip. I think it's very solid. But this also takes us to our next perk, the perk I actually prefer more in things like trials and competitive, that being Precision Instruments. It reads that dealing sustained damage increases precision damage. Essentially here, guys, dealing damage will grant stacks of increasing precision damage, which will last for 1.25 seconds and stacks up to 6 times. Now this is a very high risk, high reward perk, and if you miss a shot at all, this removes all of those stacks. Now each stack increases precision damage. 1 stack it's 4%, 2 stacks is 8%, 3 stacks is 12.5%, 4 stacks is 17%, 5 stacks is 21%, and 6 stacks is 25%. Now the enhanced version of this increases the damage per stack just slightly, granting us 30% at 6 stacks. Now the best thing about Precision Instruments is the forgiveness that it provides. What this allows here, guys, is the ability to 2 crit 1 body any resilience level. Essentially, guys, if you land a body shot first, followed by 2 crits, or if you land 1 crit, 1 body, and then 1 crit, you're able to get the kill in 2 crits, 1 body. Now, it's not a big game changer time to kill wise. That's not the point in Precision Instrument. It allows for more forgiveness, though. It's the reason why we love it on weapons like Igneous Hammer. and also on Criminal's Dagger. What Precision Instrument also allows is the ability to kill those max resilience guardians, even with an overshield, in 3 crits. Now, what is the absolute God roll for PvP, and how does this stack up against our other 120s? Honestly, fellas, I got off really lucky. This roll that I have right here with both Precision Instrument and Elemental Capacitor is really good. And I would argue and say that that is in fact the God roll for PvP. If you are rocking Void or Arc. And I will say on Arc, guys, that handling bump is insane. The weapon literally feels like a lightweight weapon, like an intrinsic lightweight weapon. Think things like Rose with that incredible snappy handling that's intrinsic to that frame only. That's literally what something new feels like with Elemental Capacitor on Arc. And with the ability of Precision Instruments helping with that forgiveness, that's securing that 3-tap. Now, is something new better than Igneous? Even with that roll, I don't know, guys. That's such a tough one, right? Igneous is just so good. The fact that you can get Igneous with the stats that it has, it also being an adept for my controller players, it has very high aim assist. Without a doubt, Igneous Hammer is a monster. However, in that kinetic slot, I think something new possesses something that could definitely compete against the likes of Criminal's Dagger, against the likes of Steady Hand, against Round Robin. I wouldn't necessarily say I would choose it over all of those other hand cannons, but I would entertain it. I'm a big fan of Criminal's Dagger, especially Criminal's Dagger with Precision Instruments, as well as moving targets. It's a very good roll. I'm also a big fan of Round Robin with things like Keep Away and Kill Clip, or Keep Away and Opening Shot. And the thing that I really love on Round Robin is that origin trait with nanotech tracer rockets. You'd be surprised how often it snags kills for you. But something new does fit in with those 120s. And I would say if you spent a lot of time back in the day playing with weapons like True Prophecy, which I actually played so much with, you'll feel right at home with something new. The difference here, though, is of course those perk combinations, which definitely gives something new a bigger edge, and the fact that you can enhance those perks. I think outside of that, 120 round per minute hand cannons have kind of fallen off for me. So if you play with something new and you feel like you're getting whooped up, keep in mind, you've got dominant 140 round per minute hand cannons like Rose or even Midnight Coup. You've got pulse rifles like Red Death and Elsie, which dominate that mid-range. 120 round per minute hand cannons are great for team shotting, great for coming around the corner and snagging a shot, getting that immediate chunky damage. But I will admit, guys, that like 1v1 scenarios, you will see where this weapon falls off. If you're trying to square up with a Red Death or a high impact pulse or even a 140 round per minute hand cannon, there are going to be many times you lose. And it's not because something new is a bad weapon. It's simply because mathematically, with a 1 second time to kill, you are at a disadvantage. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, though, guys, I've had a great time playing with this hand cannon. I think the origin trait and Nadir Focus being added here is fantastic. Elemental Capacitor was a big standout perk here that I didn't expect. And I will say, if you don't want to go Elemental Capacitor, say you like rocking Strand or Solar or even Stasis as your super, then of course Rapid Hit or To The Pain are great options. Outside of that, for 1v1 scenarios, I think Precision Instrument is too good. And for 6v6, you could definitely cycle in Kill Clip. So that's it, guys. That is our review. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.